All right, everybody, we're gonna start this. Bring the regular meeting of January 20th to order, stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. You roll call, please.
Counselor Reynolds.
Here.
Mayor Burris.
Here.
Counselor Sandusky.
Here.
Counselor Chris. Here. Counselor Knoxman.
All right, thank you very much. Now we have our time for public comments. Any person may address the council, I've been recognized by myself. However, topics which are under appeal or legal in nature cannot be addressed. Please state your name and address for the record. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person. Do you have anything?
I do.
Yeah,
Let's see if somebody else wanted to talk first.
there you go.
So Aaron Phillips, I just live here in Tillman. I come up here all the time. And the last couple of times I've been up here, I have complained about parking downtown and our lack of enforcement. So now I want to talk about how things have turned around. And just in a few days, I've noticed a huge difference in downtown Tillman. And he always says it's group effort. He always says it's a team. But, you know, I just want to take a moment and thank Sean Brochet. He took a problem that we've got here in Tillman and he decided that he had time to help us. He's come around, he's introduced himself to all of us business owners. And he's taken the problem seriously. And I just enjoy working with Sean. I really do. And I think that we as the city are blessed when we've got somebody like Sean Brochet. So that's what I've got today. It's good news.
Hey,
We'll get you a plaque with the mayor's signature.
there we go. Oh, that's.
Terry, the punch, so a lot of times we come up here and have name, please, just not married. But I do wanna echo what Terry said, it has made a considerable difference in downtown. I also had the pleasure of meeting with Sean and John today, and we are going to be actively working on some communications with downtown businesses about where they can park. To help just kind of bring the knowledge about where they can park, where they could file any kind of complaints. And then our office will help walk those around, so just kind of a mutual effort, but I appreciated them coming by today, and I feel like we're making some major progress in downtown.
That's wrong. Too good.
I was there first too.
I was always there. He doesn't.
Hey, anybody else? Do we have anybody online? No? All right, last chance. All right, moving on to present announcements. You have a letter you drafted?
Yeah, so this is kind of an announcement. I have to be very, very careful because we've received official word, but not official letterhead official word. Can I put it like that way? So for the last couple of years, thanks to Adam and our public works staff, we've been working with Senator Jeff Merkley's office on trying to get a federal earmark to help us with paying for our water line project. And last Thursday, I think it was, we got notified from Senator Merkley's office that the funding bill passed both houses, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, and was set to be signed by President Trump on Friday. And so that is an extra millions of dollars that will go towards our water line project. And is a huge deal for us. Those don't come around very often. And so we need to get things to Adam and those that worked long before I got here on trying to achieve that, and Gustavo at Senator Merkley's office. So unfortunately, the days get away from me sometimes, especially when we have holidays on the day before. But I have a draft letter because we like to send thank you notes to people when they give us lots of money. And so I just want to say this is a draft. I want to hear if you guys are okay with it. And then who wants to sign it at the end, once we get it on letterhead. So it just says, to the Honorable Jeff Merkley, dear Senator Merkley, on behalf of the mayor and city council of the city of Tillamook, thank you for your leadership and advocacy in securing $4 million in federal funding to support the city's water transmission line replacement project. This funding is critically important to our community and will direct support efforts to strengthen the reliability and seismic resilience of Tillamook's water system. We are grateful for your continued commitment to ensuring that Oregon's coastal and rural communities have access to the federal resources necessary to protect essential public infrastructure. We'd also like to extend our sincere appreciation to Gustavo Guerrero, Mid-Willamette Valley and North Coast Field Representative, for his assistance and responsiveness throughout this process. His support and engagement were invaluable to the city. Thank you again for your partnership and service to Oregon. We look forward to continuing to work with you in your office on issues important to our community. Sincerely, Mayor Tillamook, on behalf of the city council. Are you guys good with that? As written? Okay, do you all want to sign the final draft, or do you want to have just the mayor?
That would be nice.
Okay, so we will prepare something with a on letterhead with spots for everybody to sign. And then if it's okay, I will have Chelsea reach out to you to come into City Hall at your leisure to get it signed off so we can make it. Cool.
Sounds good.
Okay, and to just add on to that, by chance, Senator Merkley held a town hall here at Tillamook High on Saturday. I did go, he held a special pre-meeting for local leaders, and I attended that on behalf of the city. And once he walked in the door and we did our introductions, that he opened it up for comment, and I jumped right to my feet and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a huge deal. And everybody in the room, including the entire county commission, mayors from other cities, city managers from other cities, applauded that. Michelle from the port, they all recognize how important this project is, not just to the city of Tillamook, but to the region as a whole, to have safe, resilient water line. And this is a huge deal for us to get this here. So I was able to thank Senator in person, but feel like having a letter or something sent also would be helpful.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have presentations, Tillamook wastewater facilities plan. Come on, introduce yourself.
Good evening, my name is Brendan O'Sullivan, I'm a principal engineer with Contour Engineering, and I've been hired by the city of Tillamook to lead the wastewater facilities plan development, which will be a roadmap for the city and their potential growth for the next 25 years for specifically your sanitary sewer system, both the collections and wastewater plant. I'm here today joined by two of my colleagues, Brad Mercury and Austin Randon, who will each be talking about the various components of this system over the course of the next 35 minutes. Like I said, getting ahead before we got our presentation going, but just while we're getting that up, I'll continue. Just want to start a few acknowledgements that went in for those folks that helped develop this plan for the city. Kenny Ullman and Sean Barget were instrumental in providing us the knowledge and information we needed to be able to accurately assess the city's program and system. Also, John Harrison Consulting Engineers, who is another consultant the city has hired to help run and operate the wastewater treatment plant. He was an integral part in this plan as well. And then a myriad of my staff on this project from Contour that helped develop this program as well. So I'm going to give you a quick overview, and then I'm going to hand this off to my colleagues, but here's a quick overall agenda of what we'll be talking about here for the next little bit. I'm going to give again an overview, and then pass it off to talk about the purpose of the plan, and then get into the details of both the collection system and the wastewater treatment plant. So the wastewater facility plan is composed of 8 distinct chapters that have been developed over the last about 16 months. That look at various characteristics of the city, the existing infrastructure, flows and load projections, regulatory requirements. Then we did an evaluation of the collection system and then of the facilities, including the treatment plant and various pump stations, which all culminated in developing a capital improvement plan, which is that roadmap for the city for the next 25 years to address the issues that are seen in the city's system as it is. I've been in front of this council before in years past to be the bearer of bad news, saying that you got capacity issues in your sanitary sewer system. That has not changed in the last 3 years since that INI study was wrapped up. But we have now got a much better idea of what the system looks like at large and how it's gonna be performing in the future. And what we're gonna try to do, what the city will need to do to be able to both sustain the existing infrastructure, but then also promote growth, which I know is a big goal of the city and the county. And so with that, I'm gonna lead out with just kind of the high level takeaways of what this plan and everything that we've done to date. So we know the collection system has some capacity issues, a lot of INI issues due to pipe aging pipe and pipe condition. There are pump stations and pipes that are undersized, or in poor condition. The wastewater treatment plant is in generally very good condition. It does have some aging equipment and some components are in poor condition. The city has made an investment in the treatment plant in the past and it is performing quite well in that regard. This plan also ensures that the city remains in regulatory compliance with DEQ, as well as, again, promotes the growth that the city would like to see over the coming decades. The plan will address the aging infrastructure and the capacity issues, and again, provides that 25-year roadmap for the improvements. And with that, I'm gonna hand it off to Brad, who's gonna go into a little bit more of the purpose of the plan, as well as what we've discovered and what we have done working with the city to develop the capital improvement plan and those improvements that there are a lot of.
Yeah, so as Brendan said, I'm Brad Mercury. I was involved in the planning for the collection system. And so the purpose of the plan is like what Brendan said, it's a roadmap. We look at both the condition and the capacity of the sewer collection and treatment systems and determine how to address the issues that arise from the evaluation. It considers population, employment, land use growth, forecast, estimate future flows and loading to the wastewater treatment plant and the collection system. The end product is a capital improvement plan that lays out the needed projects to fix the existing issues and prepare for long-term growth. So a little bit about the service area and the system description. So the system includes along with all the piping, 5 pump stations and the wastewater treatment plant, plus a small low pressure septic tank effluent pumping system, or SEP system in Basin 5 in the north part of town, dating back to the 1960s. The oldest pipes in town are from the 1920s, especially in the downtown area. Some pipes are over 100 years old, which is considered beyond the service life of the pipe. The materials vary from clay to concrete to PVC. And then as you guys probably know, living here, the town receives a high amount of rainfall. So that affects the I-9 system. And so here's an overview map of the system. So the wastewater treatment plant is located on the west side of town. And we have the system divided into 5 basins that are color coded there. And then also highlighted are the interceptors, which is pretty much the backbone of the collection system. Those are the larger pipes that direct all the flow to the treatment plant. So there's the North Interceptor and the 4th Street Interceptor kind of highlighted cyan, the South Side Interceptor in the orange in the southwest part, and 12th Street Interceptor kind of in the mid-south highlighted green, and then the East Side Interceptor highlighted purple. And there's a part on 3rd there that's an 8-inch main that's probably not really considered an interceptor, but that's kind of lumped in with that. So, population projections. This came from the Portland Research Center's official forecast for the city and urban growth boundary. And this method is generally consistent with planning in Oregon. So we have the population projection and the urban growth boundary. And then we have an employment, and the existing employment number we got from the Census American Community Survey for the city of Tillamook. And then we put a 1% annual growth rate on it, based on information from the city's comprehensive plan. And something to note is that the population, according to the forecast, will peak in 2040. And then it'll start to decline. And then the build out population is based on information we received from Tillamook's comprehensive plan. And then employment build out, since we don't have really a year for build out, is based on acreage of land available for industrial and commercial use, 87 acres. And then we have another area, we call the Marl Loop area, that, was considered a potential growth and development area. And so we kind of separated it out from the official projection and added it on as a just in case, you know, this develops. And so here's a map of the growth areas. And so we have them kind of color coded based on, you know, 5-year growth, to 2029, which is like the light pink. I don't know if you can see it there, there's some in the north and in the west, and some small parcels in the downtown area, and then some others in the east. And then they got the darker pink, which is the 25-year growth areas. And then the build out areas highlighted orange. And then the hatched pink is the Maroff Loop area we considered. And then also identified were some potential UGB expansion areas in the south that we considered. So our approach began with our study we did, our I&I study we did in 2023. It involved an analysis of the I&I or groundwater and rainwater entry into the collection system. The I&I study was really the starting point for us in the analysis of the collection system. And it's where the sewer model was first established using available data from as-built CCTV inspections and flow monitoring. And so the model is important because it's the main tool we use for evaluating the collection system capacity. We further refined and expanded and updated the model with new survey information and flow monitoring or flow information from the wastewater treatment plant and pump stations. And so we used it to see how the system performs today and how it'll function in the future for the planning period. And then we also have a build out scenario, which is particularly important because it tells us how to size the improvements for the planning period. This pipe tends to last a pretty long time. So continuing with the approach, so the future flows were developed using the population and employment growth. We also accounted for I&I into the system using industry accepted standards for new construction. We developed criteria for evaluating the collection system efficiencies based on industry practices, city standards, and state guidelines, or DEQ requirements. Key to this is that DEQ requires the collection system piping to have enough capacity for a 5-year, 24-hour storm event so that no sewage overflows occur. So this 5-year, 24-hour storm is a 24-hour duration storm that has a 20% probability of occurring every year. And so specifically, our criteria included surcharging. And surcharging is when the flow exceeds the capacity of the piping and the manholes begin to fill. It doesn't necessarily lead to an overflow, but it can. And so the criteria we had for piping and manholes is to allow surcharging so long as the water system, so long as the water surface is at least 6 feet below the rim of the manholes. For the pump stations, our criteria was that the flow could not exceed the firm capacity of the pump station. And the firm capacity is defined as with a large pump out of service. And this is based on state guidelines. And then the force mains, which the pump stations pump into, the piping pumps into, we have a criteria that the velocities can't exceed 8 feet per second. So the findings. The findings for existing and future storm conditions include that the model identifies surcharging in all the interceptors. Overflows were identified in the model for 3 interceptors, which is the south side, the 12th Street, and the east side interceptors. And the Basin 5 step system has undersized main piping with high velocities. Capacity issues were identified at the 12th Street pump station and the wastewater treatment plant influent pump station, which are the large pump stations for the city. And then there's aging downtown piping that needs replacement and rehabilitation due to the pipe condition. So here's a map of the deficiencies with the red is showing surcharge pipes that are greater than 75% full. And manholes with less than 6 feet of freeboard under the design storm. And then the key problem areas were the south side interceptor to the southwest there, and the 12th Street interceptor, the east side interceptor, and the 3rd Street main, which is part of the east side interceptor. And then a couple of areas in the Stillwell Avenue area, a couple of pipe settings there in the downtown area. Past observed flow overflows support the model findings. There have been observed overflows in the south side interceptor and the east side interceptor. And the Basin 5 issues aren't shown due to the low pressure system, but remain a concern. A separate analysis was done on that system outside of the model. So continuing with the findings. So INI significantly increases the winter flows, and reducing it to acceptable levels would require extensive rehab, including the sewer service lines. Alternatives were developed with city input and account for a new wastewater treatment plant influent pump station, or IPS, as recommended in the wastewater treatment plant upgrade alternatives report by John Harrison. The new IPS is a key element because it resolves the wastewater treatment plant bottlenecks and creates flexibility for upstream collection system improvements. Preferred alternatives were selected with city staff. So getting into our recommendations, what came out of that is a new 5th Street interceptor is recommended to move flows from basins 3 and 4, which are on the east side of town, and relieve overloaded pipes. Recommendations also include relocating the 12th Street pump station to a better site outside PUD's paved area and diverting the flow from that station from the south side interceptor to the new 5th Street interceptor. The Highway 6 improvements, which were recommended, includes a new gravity main at the pump station to relieve the east side interceptor and 3rd Street main. We also recommend upsizing main piping for the step system in Basin 5 and rerouting it. So these recommendations form the backbone for the capital improvement program for the collection system. So getting into our improvement projects, the capital improvement plan includes both collection system and wastewater treatment plant improvements. And I'll walk through the collection system and then Austin will cover the treatment plant projects later in this presentation. But part of my collection system improvements include the influent pump station at the wastewater treatment plant and the some of the influent piping. So the projects were categorized near, medium, and long term. And then a schedule was created to prioritize them and show the sequence of work. Planning level cost estimates were developed for each project, including construction costs and markups for contingency and engineering and legal and other administrative fees associated with the construction project. So central to these improvements is reducing sanitary sewer overflows with these improvements. So the next few slides here will summarize the improvement projects to increase capacity or operating efficiency of the existing system. Future service extensions were also identified in the plan but are not included in the capital improvement program as they're usually developer funded. So starting with the first project, CIP1 contains the most downstream piping of the collection system just ahead of the wastewater treatment plant. It includes the new influent pump station, screening facility, and new interceptor piping to direct collection system flows to the new pump station. This project addresses existing and future capacity issues at the head of the wastewater treatment plant and the end of the collection system. CIP2 includes the new Fifth Street interceptor to address existing and future capacity issues. CIP 3 and 5 contain elements of the Highway 6 movement and pump station to help serve future areas along Highway 6 and to relieve the existing East Street interceptor and Third Street main. So these projects address existing and future capacity issues for the collection system. CIP 4 involves relocating the 12th Street pump station to a more accessible site and reroutes the flows to the new Fifth Street interceptor to relieve the existing South Side interceptor. And this project addresses future and existing capacity issues. CIP 6 involves replacing the main piping of the step system with larger piping and rerouting along Highway 101 so that it does not need to cross underneath the Parkton Slough. This project addresses future and existing capacity issues for the collection system and concerns with the existing crossing underneath Parkton Slough. CIP 7 involves rerouting the south side interceptor out of residential properties, fields, and a swamp, and putting the alignment in right of ways along existing streets. And this project addresses maintenance, access, and reliability issues with the existing piping. The capital improvement program also includes maintenance projects to address critical areas identified by the city where pipe condition is poor and a disruption could have significant impacts to areas served. This includes highway crossings and lines serving schools. We also have recommended annual budgets for pipe replacement and rehab and for pump stations. And also part of the ongoing maintenance is the enforcement of the city sewer lateral ordinance. And so here's a map of the projects. And I can't really point them out, but so
Laser doesn't show up on TV.
Okay. So, yeah, so this includes the projects, the critical areas are highlighted red. You can see the highway crossings and 101 there. And then the Fifth Street interceptor kind of in green there, going across the downtown. The yellow area. And then down at the south there, at the 12th Street pump station. Relocation and diversion, so there's a gray box where it's currently located and a red box where it'll move to. And then some orange dash pipe is showing where it'll divert to the Fifth Street interceptor. And then the Highway 6 mains and pump station are kind of in the purple and pink, going out east there along Highway 6. And then the Basin 5 improvements, the dash purple going north in the green area. And then the south side interceptor, you can kind of see in gray where it's located now, kind of diagonally going across the lavender area. And then the new alignment in kind of light blue where it kind of zigzags on streets. It was a Beechwood at night. And then down like on Elm maybe. Keeping it in the streets. And then also a part of it is the step valves in Basin 5. To address a corrective action letter from DEQ, requiring that for each of the step system pumps. And then the Front Street pump station, I think was originally built in the 1960s, it's fairly old and will need a replacement. And then in green, our future service extensions, I think there's one going out further on Highway 6. And a few others located throughout there that will be developer funded. So the next two slides show the capital improvement plan projects with costs in order of priority. This slide shows the near-term projects. Projects are categorized as either a capital improvement project with CIP or a maintenance project with M in the ID. So those are the costs there for the near term. And then for the medium to long term, this is the next set of projects. Again, a mix of improvement projects and maintenance projects. For a total of 28 million for medium to long term. And then for the sewer operation and maintenance staffing and equipment. Our recommendations include 4 full-time employees. And the staff will be dedicated to the collection system, and they would also likely be involved with the stormwater system as well. That's pretty typical for other cities. And then some recommendations for equipment include a CCT truck or van along with a back truck to help with inspections and cleaning and maintenance of the system and repairs. And then also part of that is the ordinance, which outlines requirements for inspection, testing, and repair of property owner services. And that includes my part, now it's hospital going through the wastewater treatment plant.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brad. Hi, everyone. My name is Austin Brandon, and I am with Consort. Here to talk about the treatment plant, part of the master plan or facilities plan. So the treatment plant, as everyone knows, is on the west side of town, kind of at the end of 4th and 5th Street, next to the Trask River. It's a conventional activated sludge plant, which means it's tried and true treatment technology regime. It works well for Kenny. The plant discharges to the Trask River and it's governed by a discharge permit from the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality. And kind of on the north side of the map there, I know it's hard to see, that's where most of the liquids treatment trains are, and the south side of the plant is more dealing with the solids. That'll come up later. So on to the analysis. The analysis was kind of twofold. We had the city's longtime wastewater engineer, John Harrison, help us out with a capacity study. He reviewed data, 10 years worth of data. Evaluated the influent flows and loading coming into the plant. And looked at every unit process and from a capacity standpoint to see how much more flows and loads it could take. The Consort team did the condition assessment, which was more of a visual site visit, walk through each unit process. We looked at the operational regimes and interviewed staff on how they operate the plant. And so the improvements kind of come out in two categories as well. John Harrison's upgrade alternatives and the condition assessment identified issues. So on to the findings. For the capacity side of things, the treatment plant will provide service through the planning period, the 25-year planning period. John came up with a number of about up to 7,500 people it can treat for. The aeration basin is flexible and will allow for future loading and the ability to meet nutrient regulations. And the solids treatment processes need the most attention, and you'll hear me say this more than once. And that was just on the capacity side. So on the condition side, it's fair overall. The solids handling is the most efficient on the condition side as well. And there's some aging equipment that needs to be replaced. So findings continue. The recommendations were to keep moving forward with the dewatering and sludge storage projects that Kenny's working on now. Be nimble to be able to align with future regulations that might not be known at this time. And start replacing aging equipment to be preventative versus reactive. And lastly, establish an annual budget for known items, equipment, tank clean, things like that. Now to the recommended alternatives. This slide is a high level overview of John's work. He looked at alternatives for inclusion in the capital improvement plan. Some near-term needs, solids handling equipment, big surprise there. A new shop, some work on the chemical feed systems, SCADA upgrades, and equipment replacement. There will be another set of slides later that have all the projects listed out with the cost similar to what Brad had shown. Moving on to the long-term recommended alternatives from John's report. These are mostly needed to account for future growth, replacement of aging equipment, and to meet regulatory requirements. So just some highlights here, the aeration basin improvements will be needed, a new clarifier, new screw press, a digester. There's filtration and temperature adjustment projects, and these are also going to be needed to meet future regulations. And then biosolids handling equipment. And on to additional CIP projects identified from the condition assessment. We need to rehab tanks, repair concrete, place valves, gates, pumps. The structures there just needs to be brought back to its useful life. Replace the boiler and generator, and then the south side of the plant needs a new electrical service. And then some O&M projects that came out of the study. Let's start that tank cleaning program, just to be preventative. Don't react when you can't use the tank anymore because it's not clean. There's a variable frequency drive replacement program. This will ultimately save energy over the long run. And we've identified just over $2 million a year needed for O&M and staffing for the treatment plant. Now these next three slides show the detailed project list making up the CIP for the treatment plant. I'm not going to talk about every single project, but these have planning level costs that were developed for the financial analysis and for budgeting. The same cost estimating methodology was used for the collection system. And this first slide here includes near-term projects from John Harrison's evaluation. Some were mentioned previously in the highlights. But outside of the solids handling equipment here on this slide, most of these are smaller ticket projects needed for compliance. These are the medium and long-term projects from John's evaluation. The aeration basin upgrades are needed to meet growth and regulatory requirements. And the new solids handling equipment and tank repair to address aging equipment. And finally, this last CIP slide is for projects associated with the condition and longer term needs. So again, we're rehabbing more tanks here, concrete repairs, replacing all the components to refresh the systems. Now, as far as operations and maintenance and staff needed to do the work, we want to be proactive versus reactive. You'll hear me say that more than once. It's very important to be able to stay in front of a problem before it upsets your whole system. The treatment plant staff now cover the collection system, and apparently they're down to 3 since we made these slides. We think that there needs to be 5 staff dedicated to the treatment plant to effectively stay ahead of maintenance and maintain compliance. And that's been built into the budget. So finally, the summary, the collection system projects total 47 million over the planning period. And the treatment plant projects total 26 million over the planning period, for a total of 73 million. And again, the CIP addresses capacity and regulatory issues related to growth and permit compliance. Now on to next steps. DEQ is currently reviewing the draft plan now. We have gotten comments back from the city. And once we get comments back from DEQ, we will address all those and wrap up a final plan and have it ready for city adoption. The rate study is underway now. And there will be a presentation on that soon. And that's all I have today. Thank you, everyone, and we'll entertain any questions at this point now. Thank you.
Quite a shock from last I know, but hopefully, if you do have any questions, we can answer them for you now. If you don't have answers right at this moment, we will get them for you.
Just a quick question on the proposed costs. Is that are those costs adjusted for inflation long term?
Yes.
Okay.
As much as we can guess what inflation is gonna look like,
Right.
we do have built-in contingencies for inflation.
Anybody else?
I'm good, and it's a sobering thought. Especially with everything else we have, but
I didn't do the math, but it's a total.
73 million. Over the next 20 years.
Job security,
Do you have a 5-year number? Like from 0 and 5 years from now, what I'm thinking then?
Not off the top of our head.
if I did my back of the napkin math correctly, it was about 21 million. Over the next 5 years to follow the capital improvement projects. I did go through and divide that by base number of users and what a rate increase might be, but I'm not gonna say that. Because I don't want to influence what I'm not a professional modeler, so we'll wait for them to come back with their proposal. But it's not hard to come back with a ballpark number.
And that's on top of the additional money needed to run the sewer plant.
I was including
Right.
both there.
Instead
I was
of three.
including both of those, yeah.
Good question for Kenny. Kenny, they proposed a 500,000 yearly budget for line replacement. What do we do now?
Right now, I have like usually 200,000 to 400,000 for the collection system. And that's like capital, like O&M for the collection system is less than 100 overall, so. And most of my O&M goes for the plan. I guess it just takes so much.
And then they proposed for staffing and funding of the plant 2.01 million.
That's O and M.
That's everything then, and we're less than 400,000?
No, right now, like staffing is like 700 and O and M is like 1.3.
Okay.
1.4 total. I think that's what, those are combined in that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? We'll get a sticker shot.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep. All right.
I wanna thank these guys, they did a lot of work on this. A lot of effort in it, give them.
All right, thank you. Anything else before I go? All right. Thank you guys, we appreciate it. All right, next will be new business. Request to adopt resolution authorizing city manager to execute a contract with the highest qualified lowest bidder for the water transmission line replacement phase 1.
Do you want some good news, Mayor?
I do.
So, we recently had our bid opening, so, the money that we got from Mr. Merkley combining with our ARPA funds that we're spending already on this project, we were budgeting $15 million for this water line replacement. Our qualified bid came back at 12.7. So that is a big savings for us. We are, asking, because with any construction project, invariably there are change orders and such that come in or unforeseen problems. So, the resolution that is before you tonight is to authorize me to sign the contract with our, low bidder. That is the the lowest with the highest qualifications. So there's a way that it goes. It wasn't the lowest bidder that we had, but the lowest bidder did not meet the qualifications. So the lowest with the highest qualified, and what we're asking for is to be able to sign the contract in 7 days by providing the notice of intent to proceed. That kicks off a 7-day protest period for other bidders to come in, and we can't sign the contract till that protest period is done. But we want to be authorized to sign that contract when the protest period is done, and then authorize me to do up to 14 million total cost, which would allow us to do some change orders along the way. We hope that it stays at the 12.7, but just with those change orders, and then we're limiting the change orders to $150,000 that I can authorize without coming back to you all. Anything over $150,000, we would bring back to the city council.
Anybody?
Just because I'm ignorant, what's a protest? What does that involve? 7 days? Just understanding what that means.
So the protest period, we have, the way the process works, as I understand it, and maybe our public works guys can chime in if I get it wrong. But we did a pre-qualification. So under our request for proposals, request for bids, we had certain bidders pre-qualify to say, so that we could say, yeah, you meet the basic qualifications to bid. Once they made their bids, and we had 4 bidders come in. Once they made their bids, our consultant, which happens to be Consort, that's here tonight, took those and ranked them based on the low bid and then the different qualifications and the scoring pattern that was presented beforehand. The 7-day period allows for any of the other bidders, so the 3 that didn't get the bid, to protest our methodology or anything to challenge the decision. So it is a legal thing that we have to do. We have to allow them that 7 days. I don't know what happens if somebody does protest it. We don't anticipate.
That's what I was gonna ask my follow-up was, do we have to get back in here and give you another authorization, or can we just blanket that in and say, get it done?
I think it's going to get it done. Yeah, does Brendan, do you?
Yes, so this is all regulated by ORS 279B, which is for public contracting law.
Yeah.
And that protest period allows bidders who were not the apparent low bidder to protest any potential anomalies they saw in the process or the bid that was received.
Yeah.
It's required by the ORS. And it is I guess to answer your question, we're looking for the blanket approval to proceed with the project, pending whatever protests may or may not come. As the protests come in, we review them, with the city and with city's legal counsel. Constant's legal counsel as well can advise, if there are any anomalies that are brought up. And then we make a decision whether that protest is valid or not, and then proceed, whether it's litigious or we just say your protest, we find invalid because you are not a harmed party. And we can move on and continue with awarding the contract to the parent lowest bidder.
So for example, I don't know, I can talk about the one we had, right?
Sure.
Okay, on our pre-application qualifications, we had somebody protest, we had a bidder protest that. We sent that through Consour's legal, our legal, we identified several areas where they were deficient in their protest. And where it was a weak case, and we denied that protest based on the legal analysis of it. They could appeal that, I don't think they've chosen to do that. This is just that same type of opportunity once the final bid is there.
Thanks, man. I just sometimes say stuff on the.
No, I'd rather have you ask the question now.
Yeah. So we can still expedite the process.
Yeah, we will expedite it as soon as we can.
During the protest, are the protesters allowed to revise
No,
their bid?
they're not allowed to revise bids. So bids are in, they were due by 2 p.m. on January 8th. That is the bid that was assigned. That is what we evaluated and analyzed. There is no option to change that bid.
And that's on a legal basis, they can't?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the protest is on process, not on outcome, right? So they can't go in and say, well, I'm gonna come in $100,000 less and change their score. They can challenge whether our methodology was incorrect, but they can't challenge the actual or change their bids to,
And that's per ORS, right?
yes.
Of course.
Thanks. That's good. That helps a lot.
Anybody? Have anything else? Any other questions?
I move that we adopt resolution R 0122026.
Second that.
All right, motion is made to adopt resolution, and second, any further discussion?
Question.
Questions called, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes by the council seated, all right, thank you. I have no reports. Departmental reports, who wants to go first?
We don't have police, public works, do you have anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I just, thank you, I appreciate that, and like I tell you guys. Really don't thank me, I'm the one little small piece what's happening downtown. I can't do anything without Sean giving me the directions to do it, so you kind of give me the free rein to do what we're doing, but really. It's Paul, Norman, Spencer, those are the guys that are doing all the work, and so I appreciate the acknowledgement, but I'm not doing the work, it's those guys, so I wanna make sure there's credit given for us too, so, but thank you, and you guys work with us a lot, so. It's a community effort, and just keep working on doing that, so, thank you.
Glenn?
Yeah, I just have one quick thing. I have my report and then I have some questions, but one awesome thing that's gonna happen is that we hired an AI company that's gonna come in and put all our applications online. People will be able to make payments online, submit online. A lot of the review process will be done through the AI. So it will alleviate my time, so we don't have to hire a tech, which is awesome, because we don't have the budget. So I'm super excited about that, and hopefully that was one of my goals last year. A few months late, but at least we're getting it done and it's gonna really work, so I'm super excited about that.
Or do we need to be worried about this AI looking down on all this?
No,
Yeah, and I'll also be reviewed as a second under me too, it alleviates a lot of time.
a couple of things about that, we've contracted with Polymorphic, and they are one of the least expensive ones out there. We used some of our contingency budget for consulting that we're not using this year through the planning department to pay for it. This includes an AI chat box that we can put on the website, so somebody can go in and type in, I want to build a fence, and then we'll quote back the laws and stuff. It is entirely contained to our website and what we deem, so it's not going out and searching the web. Like a ChatGPT or any of those others, what it's entirely self-contained to us. And we will be doing, I hadn't announced this yet, because we wanted to get further down the testing rabbit hole. But the idea is that we will put it through some robust tests to make sure that it is returning the right answer and doing things for us. But it does allow for the online applications and we can review that. The thing being, folks like Terry may appreciate this, when you submit a zoning application to us, this is supposedly smart enough to be able to review some of the documents and look at such as a sign permit or a construction permit and say, maybe you've turned in the wrong document and you're missing a document, and it can do that initial review. Or on a sign permit, it can actually do some of the review that then Megan can follow up and do the double check on, and just not give it totally to the technology, but allow those kind of things to happen. So it's very interesting. We resisted, they actually had a product where they could change our voicemail, not our voicemail, but when you call in the auto attendant that says press 1, you could talk to it and get answers to that. We thought that was a little bit over the line for what we're trying to do right now. We'll keep it to just the website. So, but we're very, very excited for this. Other cities in Oregon have used it and gotten good results, especially smaller communities that don't have a lot of staff. This is helping save a lot of staff time.
We have a launch date.
2 or 3 months down the road, we're taking it in small chunks. We've just barely signed a contract with them a couple of weeks ago. And just before the new year, so that we've had our first launch stuff where we're providing them data, they're taking it back. So we'll get through it as quick as we can, but I think 90 to 180 days would be the conservative.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Finance?
I have my report. Do you have any questions?
Where are we, how are we doing right now compared to previous years on TLT and marijuana?
We're a little bit lower than we have been in previous years, not a lot, but a little bit lower. Marijuana is higher, the other one is not.
Why are we lower because we have fewer rooms available or?
Well, we lost Red Apple Inn, so we lost a whole, hotel, motel. We need to find somebody to go into that spot so we can get those going.
Yes. All right, urban renewal agency.
Pretty quick meeting this month. We have a new chair, which would be Victor Gennaro, and the vice chair is Tom Connington. Like I said, not a ton to go. We're still working on the sidewalk project, becoming bigger and bigger. So, it's kind of where we're at.
Tillamook County Housing Commission appointee. You're back.
Back. This month, we had Jeff Wong from CS Fisheries come and just give an update on his report. He was able to get some funding from the Housing Commission on one of the rounds, I think 2 rounds ago, and so he was updating us to that. He's in the permitting process and he's getting ready to add housing and a retail location, and so good news on that.
Where's he located?
Up in Rockland, so it doesn't affect us, but it's cool to see those move along. We get our money to see how they progress. The other thing I wanted to announce is that Corin Carter from CARE announced that they're gonna have an outreach program next week. It's kind of a head count that they do every year that they have to turn into the state for the houseless community. So if you know of anybody that's a nonprofit that wants to get over there and hand stuff out or, be part of that outreach, they're gonna have a food pantry, they're gonna have giveaways, takeaways, a clothes closet, things to help them out, resources and resource tables. But it'll also be for us, the main goal is to get a head count, so they can get those numbers turned into the state.
Is that?
No, it'll actually be at Sacred Heart Church on the 28th of January. Any questions?
Thank you. The manager.
Okay, going off our previous, our new pattern of commenters from our public comment period from the last meeting. was all about downtown parking and lack of enforcement. We had Kel, Terry and Sky speak up against that, and luckily we've had some comments tonight saying that we have followed up and done some things about it. I wanna go a little bit further into that. One of the things that we've done is, as we have encouraged we've done education and sent the downtown parking map to all the businesses and done that a lot by hand. Meeting with Justin and going over our codes. We think the best approach for us right now, there was a parking code that was established in 2018. That is on the books but isn't really enforced a lot. And so we're gonna go back to just enforcing what's on the books right now. One of the changes that we will make to that though is the chamber lot, which is owned by the city. Currently has a restriction, just in signs of no employee / employer / resident parking. That is not on the books as part of the ordinance. Those are just signs that are there. So we've authorized the removal of those signs to open that up. That will have the old library lot and the chamber lot as open parking for anybody who wants to park there. And hopefully that will open up the street parking on Main and Pacific to those that want to park for the businesses, and hopefully we'll see that. I've got to tell you, in talking to the business community, a lot of our stores are hurting. You heard the story last week. I heard a story today where one of our downtown businesses had to lay off their last employee this week or recently. This summer is gonna be make or break for a lot of our businesses. So anything we can do to help them in that is good. And I think the partnership of opening up that parking so that their employees can park on the back lots and leave the streets open, I think will be a good thing. We're also gonna be sending out our enforcement so that we can write some warnings or some tickets just to make sure that everybody knows that we're serious about keeping those 2-hour parking limits on our downtown parking going. So we'll start to see some of that. Hopefully we don't make too many people angry, but we're gonna try. So, okay. So that's the follow-up from last meeting. Need to thank Chelsea Hollis for being my brain again tonight. Our RCAC surveys were mailed. So last week, all the residents got a letter or should have received a letter announcing that they might get a survey this week. The 500 or so people that are getting the survey should be in their mailboxes this week. So cross your fingers that we get really good response on that. 9th Street Park, the Coatesville Park has the rubberized surface has been completed. It's gonna be reopening next week. We want to do a tentative grand opening with Moda, who's been one of the sponsors of that, on March 19th to include a ribbon cutting and such. So hopefully members of our city council can join us for that. We'll have more details as it comes up. Big day on Saturday. We've got the council retreat in the morning where we're gonna be talking goals and what we want to accomplish over the next year or so. And then we've got the gala for the chamber that night, and you all should have received your tickets today. So hopefully we're all there. I think that is mostly what I had. I'll probably think of something else in 3 minutes, but for right now, we'll keep it at that.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
I have a couple of questions, but I don't think it's the appropriate time. It's been 3 years since I was here. I just have a couple of thoughts or questions about stuff that we passed back. It's still in place, so again, it's not the right time.
And just to, actually, council comments, sure, how about you go first?
Oh, okay, well, one of them was just curious, how is the ordinance on the sewer hookups? We just recently had our house sold and rebought and all that, and they had to go through that process. Is that helping? Do we know?
I think
You know, all the extensions, I forget the right proper word.
the sewer laterals.
Yeah, well, as each home is sold, that has to be reviewed.
Yeah, we are.
Do we see progress? How's that working?
We are reviewing them. It gets to be a little bit hairy sometimes when somebody has to fix that. at the house sells, because that's not a cheap fix for a lot of people. We're looking for ways to help that, and Kenny's got some ideas on some different programs that maybe we can do. The wastewater plan that you heard tonight will help go a lot of the way for that. I think we're seeing some progress because people are fixing them and we are getting that done. But it's slow because only so many houses sell each month, so we're only getting certain reviews, and then there's some comments on that I can go into a lot of nuances, but I think the general intent is it's working, but probably not as fast as we would like it to. And as we do some of these other improvements, I think what we will find is that folks will want to improve their laterals as we improve our trunk lines.
Yeah.
On the CIP plan that you just heard tonight. Part of that was looking at fixing laterals going around. So there's good and bad.
Oh, that's all going, we just, since we had to get.
Yep.
We came face to face with it. The other thing was, is there still a moratorium on building on the east side that, again, that was.
That's a dirty word.
I just asked him, I wanna know. Is that
No,
already still
great.
contained or?
I don't wanna talk about that in open meeting,
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
So right now, there is we're, due to sewer capacity issues,
Right.
we are not able to approve building permits on the east side unless there is a neutral impact to our sewer system. Okay, so we have allowed like community college because they could show a neutral impact to the sewer system, they were allowed to build. Others have not because they would add impact to the sewer system.
Okay.
I am more than happy to go through a lot of that, but there's some
Go
legal
over and talk.
stuff. You can feel free to come over and talk to me about it anytime.
I really, we're just curious as a.
Sure.
Remember when we put it in and there was. So I was curious how that's going. Okay, leave it at that. Other than that, thanks again. I'll say to you publicly for updates. You've been sending us, keeping us informed. Last few weeks, I really appreciated that. That's a definitely great. Kudos.
You're welcome.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay.
Two things. Are we receiving any interest in our positions?
No,
Let's start.
frankly,
Okay, second thing, just as a reminder to the community at large, here we are about halfway through the month, but in just a couple of short weeks, the high school will be revving up for the annual charity drive, and you will see high school kids out and about everywhere. Please be patient with them and enjoy what they have to offer.
Open your wallet as much as.
Go to all the dinners and options.
But that will be kicking off on February 6th. The annual 10-day charity drive.
Nice.
We have the minutes for Monday, January 5th meeting.
We approve the minutes for Monday, January 5th, 2026.
Okay. There's a second. Any other discussion on it?
Call the question.
Questions called, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes by the council seated.
We authorize to pay the bills.
That's very good. Move and second to pay the bills, please call the council.
Counselor Reynolds.
Aye.
Counselor Sandusky.
Aye.
Counselor Chris.
Aye.
Counselor Nelson.
Alright. Motion passes, let's pay the bills, and with that, we have.
what time on Saturday?
I know.
I be there.
No,
Forestry.
thing.
Forestry.
Oh, did not.
Up in third.